Hello guys, my name is James, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Episode 6 of Pieces of Her starts in the past, with Jane sifting through Martin's things, looking into Quellcorp's blood-stained history. Martin reminds Jane that she belongs to him and warns her not to get involved with Nick. In the present, Laura, Jane, meets Jasper. She wants to know where Andy is, but instead he challenges her parenting. Specifically how many secrets she's been keeping from Andy, including her piano playing. Laura threatens to make a phone call and upend his career, but Jasper sees through this bluff. However, he does mention that Andy was asking about Nick, suggesting that this could be a good place to start looking for her. Laura is rattled and eventually phones Charlie, asking for his help and admitting that Andy has gone missing. Now, Andy actually happens to be in Michael's hotel room, where she finds the newspaper excerpt about the Maplecroft kidnapping. Unfortunately, she's forced to hide when shadowy figures show up and take the suitcase, mentioning how it's all there. Andy decides to follow them, scrambling down the stairs and determined to find out who these people are working for. When they stop at a food mart, Andy drops a pin under their tire, making sure they'll get a flat further on down the road. For now, she keeps a distance and continues to follow. When police show up to help, Andy seizes her opportunity and sneaks into the trunk, hiding under a blanket. Laura is hot on their trail though, finding the hotel room and everything inside gone. When she rings Charlie to let him know, he reveals that Michael hasn't filled out his statements and he didn't show for his flight to Atlanta either. Later on in the episode, Charlie also feeds back that Michael has been taken to hospital with what seems to be a stroke. During more flashbacks this episode, Jane gets closer to Nick and the army of the changing world. They have Maplecroft held captive at an abandoned train yard, but when officers show up, everything goes awry. Maplecroft sees her opportunity and stabs Nick through the hand. Without thinking twice, he slashes at her neck and lets her bleed out. This explains Laura being able to do the same move at the diner, and why these people are seemingly after her. Meanwhile, Andy leaves the trunk and hides the suitcase under the car. Those inside the car are all killed by another shadowy guy, who rings his contact and confirms that the mess has been cleaned up. With the suitcase in hand, Andy eventually reunites with her mother. Charlie gave her number and that's how she managed to find her. Together, Andy reiterates everything we've learned so far, just in case we didn't get the message from all those flashbacks. Among those details though, we learn that there was no Jerry Randall and Andy's real father is actually Nick. Laura warns that Nick is still out there and Andy needs to leave and hide. Andy refuses, telling her they're in this together. So in order to try and solve this, Laura agrees to head to the nearest police station and get the FBI involved. If only there was some sort of program to keep victims safe, potentially something that could help them change identities with law enforcement watching over them all. One can dream. Anyway, Andy pays the bill, but when she heads outside, Laura drives off, telling her daughter there's something she needs to do.